So I've got a country gig coming up in just over a week's time, and it's at a music festival that's happening in London called C2C, which I'd not heard of, but apparently it's quite a big thing. And it's a fairly well paid gig, but the downside is I do have to learn about 30 tunes at very short notice with quite minimal rehearsal. And there are going to be, I think, 4 shows. I'm not sure exactly what the setup's going to be. I don't think we're going to be headlining the main stage at the O2 Arena, but there are various other smaller stages, so I imagine we're going to be on one of those, acting as kind of a house band. And I've got a couple of rehearsals coming up at the weekend. This week I've literally just got one day, maybe a little bit longer, to get a handle on these tunes, so I thought it might be interesting just to turn the camera on and take you through my process when I go about trying to learn a lot of stuff in a short period of time. And I hope this is going to be useful to any of you who are playing in bands or playing live music when you need to have a solid method for learning tunes. And I'm not going to lie, I am feeling a little bit apprehensive about this. I don't really consider myself to be a country guitar player. I do enjoy playing country music. I realise I've looked at quite a lot of country stuff on my channel, but it's not as if I'm playing this stuff all the time. It's certainly a style of music that I don't play live that often. And added to this is the fact that a lot of the tunes that we're going to be playing contain some absolutely phenomenal guitar playing by some of the Nashville sort of session greats. So I have got a little bit of imposter syndrome going on here. I've been given a playlist which I have been listening to a little bit over the past couple of days, and I'd say that I recognise about a quarter of the tunes on this list as a listener. And there's some great sort of classics on there. We've got some Johnny Cash, some Buck Owens, Waylon, Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton. But then there's quite a lot of stuff that I'm less familiar with. So some kind of 90s and 2000s Nashville stuff. But there's lots and lots of great tunes. Perhaps a couple of slightly cheesy ones in there as well. But I think that's all part of the fun of playing this kind of show. You've got to embrace the cheese a little bit. Now, just before I get serious and start learning these tunes properly, I just wanted to talk briefly about my general process when I'm learning tunes like this. And I suppose there are 4 or 5 different stages for me. And the first stage, maybe the most important stage, is to do a lot of listening. And that's something I've been doing over the past couple of days, just listening to this playlist at any spare moment, really. And that way I'm just starting to absorb the overall vibe and feeling of these tunes. That's even before I've got a guitar in my hands. I'm starting to get to know them. And next I just want to get the basic chords learned and preferably memorized. I want to get all of the harmony mapped out and maybe just think about the overall feel of the tune in terms of the rhythm guitar. So, is it a shuffle? Is it an upbeat tune? Is it a ballad? And just get some initial ideas together. Next, I will start thinking about the arrangement. And in a lot of these tunes, it's very classic and very obvious. So it will be intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. So nothing too much to worry about. But then just listening to this playlist, there are quite a few kind of quirky ones where there are some unusual things happening. There are some key changes. There are kind of tricky intros, tricky endings. So those are really the bits to watch out for, because that's where things can go seriously wrong if you're playing this stuff with a band and you're a little bit under rehearsed. You don't want these kind of car crashes happening on intros and endings and that kind of thing. So I'm going to make a note of all of those potentially tricky moments and you really kind of focus on getting those right. And once I've got all of the basics together, I will start thinking about specific parts. So licks, melodies, kind of signature parts in the tunes. Now, it's the nature of this kind of gig, and most covers gigs, really, you're not going to try and nail all of the parts exactly like the recording, but you do want to get certain parts right. So if there are little melodies, or if there's a very kind of singable melodic guitar solo, you might want to try and get that more or less like the record. So I'm going to try and identify those parts where I need to learn them properly like the record, and that's obviously something I'm going to need to spend a bit of extra time on. For the rest of the stuff, I'm just going to try and get close enough to the original feel. A lot of the solos, I'm probably just going to improvise and do my own thing rather than try and nail all of these ridiculous kind of Nashville session player parts in a week. So I'm going to get started now. My goal is to get through all of these tunes today and just have the basics together, and then I have actually got these rehearsals and maybe another couple of days just to try and fine tune things a little bit, but I do essentially want to get all of these tunes together today. I'm going to film all of this stuff, but I'm probably going to edit out quite a lot of this stuff. I'm not going to take you through all 30 tunes, but I'll try and choose ones that are kind of the more interesting ones and go into those in a little bit of detail. It would be nice if I could play some of the original tunes in this video, but I've got a feeling that I might run into some copyright issues with that, so we'll see how that goes. It may be that I have to mute those sections when I'm playing the actual tunes, but I will put the playlist up on screen and you can maybe check out the tunes yourself if you're interested in taking a proper listen to them. All right, let's get started. Going to begin at the beginning, and the first song on the playlist is Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys, as sung by Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson. This is a great tune, absolute classic. It's a tune that I know as a listener. I don't think I've ever played it before, so I'm just going to listen through and try and map out the basic chord changes to begin with. So let me do that now. So this one is in the key of D, and reasonably straightforward. I think it's all based around the 1, 4 and 5 chords. You know, 90% of tunes on this playlist, probably 90% of country music, is based around the 1, 4 and 5 chords. The tricky thing is just establishing, you know, which order those 1, 4 and 5 chords go in, but it's quite easy to hear what's happening with this tune. So the first verse of the tune, we've got 1 chord is D, and then we're going to the 4 chord, and then 5, and back to 1 again. So that's quite easy to hear that stuff. You know, it's really good if you've done a bit of ear training, that you're able to identify chord progressions like that by ear. So I'm just hearing a 1, 4, 5, 1, and then you don't have to memorize this stuff. You can just kind of know the song in your head, and then you can find the right chords fairly naturally. But having said that, I am going to map out this song and do a little chart. I think I'm going to do this for most of the tunes today. I don't want to rely on charts or be reading stuff when I'm playing the gig if I can help it, but just to aid the learning process, I think it's good just to have this stuff written down. And since this is country music, I'm going to do it in Nashville numbers style. So for those of you not familiar with the Nashville numbers system, it was a way of writing music that came about, I'm not sure when, was it the sort of 50s or maybe earlier, but to help session musicians communicate with one another and to learn tunes quickly. And you have to remember that a lot of these musicians were, you know, incredibly gifted musicians, but they weren't educated musicians. Most of them couldn't read music. So the Nashville numbers system just provides a simple way of writing tunes down. And really it's just a question of numbering the chords in the key. So whatever key you're in, you've got the 1 chord, the 4 and the 5 chords, and then you can have the other chords in the key as well. So the 2, 3 and 6 are usually minor chords. And really it's as simple as that. I mean, it can get a little bit more elaborate than that. There are various different symbols and ways of notating things rhythmically as well. I don't know if it's a completely standardized system. You see some charts are doing things one way, other charts use a slightly different method, but I'll take you through how I do this. So this tune, it's got this kind of 3-4 kind of rhythm. 1 2 3, 1 2 3. I mean, you could debate that. It could be 6/8 or 12/8. I'm going to count this in groups of 3. For me, that's the most straightforward thing. So for the intro, we've got 1 2 3 2 2 3. We've got 4 bars of 3. So and that's all on the D chord, which is the 1 chord. So on my chart here, I'm just going to write intro, and then I'm just going to write 1 1 1 and 1. So that indicates 4 bars on the 1 chord. Then we're into the verse. So verse 1, and that goes like this. We've got turn myself up. We've got 4 bars on the 1, 4 bars on the 4, then the 5, and back to the 1. That's the first half of the verse. So I'm just going to write that down. So that's 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 1, 1, 1, 1. Then the second half of the verse, we've got some kind of repeats, but there's a little bit of a change. So a little bit quirky there. It hangs on that 5 chord for a couple of bars longer the second time around. So this time I'm going to write 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 4, 4, 4. And then I'm going to write 6 bars worth of the 5 chord. And then we've got 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's the structure of the verse. So we'll just need to watch out how long you're holding on that 5 chord. I mean, it's quite natural if you know the song. You don't need to think about it too much. It goes with the lyrics, but it just kind of departs from that group of 4 bars kind of structure at that point. So that's the verse. Next we've got the chorus, and again it's just the 1, 4, and 5 chords. It's slightly different, I think, in the chorus. So we've got mamas and babies grow up to be cowboys. So there, again, on that 5 chord, I think we're holding it for 7 bars in the chorus. So it goes with the lyrics, but it's a little bit quirky. So the chorus, I'm just going to write down 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 4, 4, 4. Then I want 7 bars of the 5. That's 5, 6, 7. Then we're back to the 1 for 2 bars. Then I think that all just repeats. So that's the first verse and chorus. Next we've actually got a key change. So everything is shifting up a tone or a whole step. So we're going from D to E. But once we've established the new key, everything else remains the same. So the way that the chords move remains the same. And that's one of the big advantages of thinking in terms of numbers in this sort of Nashville numbers type of way. You're not dealing with specific chords, you're just dealing with the way that they function in a key, and it makes it easier to learn tunes like that, and also to change keys. You know, without having had a rehearsal yet, I'm not absolutely sure what key we're going to be playing some of these tunes in. I'm sure that will change as we rehearse. You know, you mustn't assume that things are all going to be in their original keys, because when you get together with a singer, they might say, well, you know, that doesn't work for my voice. I need to go up a tone or down, or whatever it might be. So you've got to be prepared for that. But in fact, if you've learned the tunes in this kind of way in terms of numbers, then it's no big deal to transpose things on the spot. So we're now in the new key of E, exactly the same as before, just thinking 1, 4, and 5. So 5 is now going to be B7. And so on through the verse. And then the chorus is going to be exactly the same as well, I think, with that extended time on the 5 chord. And then I think it's just a double chorus at the end. So, you know, as long as you bear in mind those little quirks with the extra bars, this one's quite straightforward. It's quite easy to hear those 1, 4, 5 chords. So I'm not too worried about this tune. Now, as far as specifics of my guitar part go on this one, I'm playing with another guitar player who I think is largely going to be playing acoustic guitar, but I think I'll probably play quite minimally on this one. I could just play those basic chords. I mean, on the original recording, it's got this great kind of phaser sound, which I love, so maybe I'll use something like that. I think I've got a phaser in here. I've got this kind of thing. So just playing it very simply like that works nicely, I think, strumming, maybe arpeggiating some of those chords. Yeah, perhaps I will do some little fills and things as well at various points in this tune. So you go just playing some sixths or some, the classic sort of classic kind of country bending ideas, just keeping it quite tasteful and minimal. Okay, nailed the first tune, kind of. Only 29 more to go, so let's move on. I'm going to try and move a bit more quickly now. Maybe just do another easy-ish one. How about we take a look at On the Road Again, which is another Willie Nelson tune, classic tune, one that I kind of know in my head, so I'm not anticipating this one to be too tricky, but I'm just going to have a listen and once again make a chart of the chord changes. The original recording is in the key of E, and we've got the 1 and 4 and 5 chords in there, but there are a couple of less common chords in this. So the verse kicks off like this. So straight away we're going to, this is a G sharp chord, so we're actually going from the 1 chord to the 3 chord, but the 3 chord is major, so the usual kind of diatonic 3 chord is minor, but here we've made it major, and it's quite a dramatic sound. It's quite an easy sound to identify by ear. For me, I associate that with Creep by Radiohead. That's a good example of that kind of sound. So you start out from the 1 chord, I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo. Very dramatic kind of move to that 3 major chord. But then back to the Willie Nelson tune. We've got then we've got 2 chord, the 2 minor chord, 4, 5, back to 1 again. So that's the verse. Again, I will fully chart this one out. I'm not going to go through the entire process right now, but maybe I'll just write out the verse here. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm probably feeling it 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 bars on the E, and then 2 bars on the 3 chord, or you could make that into a 7 chord if you wanted to. So I'm just going to write 1, 1, 3, 3. Then we've got the 2 chord for a bar, so that's 2. With minor chords, generally you'll mark that as a minor chord, so you could use a lowercase m or often just a dash to signify minor. So we've got the 2 minor chord, then we've got 4 and 5, just 2 beats on each of those chords. So you can mark that in a Nashville numbers chart. I think a common thing to do is just to underline those 2 numbers, which just means that they're sharing the same bar, or I have seen it where you put those 2 numbers in brackets, but I'm just going to use an underline, and that's indicating that we've got 2 beats on the 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 beats on the 5 chord. And for the chorus we're starting on the 4 chord, which is quite a common thing. On the road again, like a band of gypsies, we run down the highway. So the 1 chord, and then again. And then the chorus ends on the 5 chord. I think there's a little stop as well before we go round for another verse, and I could just strum my way through that, but since there's probably going to be an acoustic guitar holding down the basic chords, maybe I could just play some simple arpeggios. So So keep it nice and simple once again on this one, I think. And there is a little solo, which is really a fixed melody. So this is an example of a solo that I will probably have to just play that melody. It's something that the listener is going to expect when they hear this tune. So it's played over the verse chords, and you can probably play it like this. Really just playing the vocal melody. So I'm thinking out of this fifth string root major bar chord shape. It's just that minor to major third thing. Maybe throwing a little bend. So pretty straightforward. Moving on then, and I'm going to look at a track called 2 Dozen Roses by Shenandoah. Not a band or a song that I'm familiar with. I first heard this a couple of days ago, and this is, I'm guessing, from the late 80s or early 90s. It's got a very produced, kind of polished country sound, but the musicianship, the songwriting is great, and this one is considerably more complex. The chord changes are more complex. There's a key change. There are some little riffs and parts that I'm probably going to need to get in there as well. So I'm going to listen through and do the chart. And so the intro to this one, the studio recording is in the key of A. Again, I'm not sure we're going to be doing it in this key or not, but the chords for the intro, we've got so thinking once again in terms of numbers, we've got 6, 5, 4, 5 and 1, and over the top of that there is a kind of signature melody which I think I'm going to have to play like the record. So it's something like this. Actually played with this great kind of 80s chorus guitar sound, so I'm definitely going to have to get out the chorus pedal for that. Let me see if I can find a chorus effect on here. There we go, beautiful kind of shimmering 80s chorus sound. So the verses are just just 1, 4 and 5, and maybe I'll just do some little some little fills or arpeggios. I think that's quite similar to what I'm hearing on the recording. And the chorus chords are a little bit more complex than some of the other songs on this playlist. So we've got 4, 5, 6 minor, 4, 5, 1. And it's 6, 5, 4, 5, 1. So I just need to be familiar enough with this tune that I can hear those changes. Then it's easy enough to play. I'll probably just strum my way through that, or just do some simple arpeggios. That all repeats, I think. Then we've got a key change in this tune as well. So I think it's a key change up a whole step, up a tone, and then there's a guitar solo. So we're going from the key of A to key of B. And I don't think the guitar solo on this is one that I'm going to try and get note for note. It's really... I'm just going to noodle around in the key of B major, get some delay and chorus on it, and it should sound okay. And then after the solo, we've got another chorus in the new key of B major, and then there's a little outro as well, which I think is just kind of primarily on the 1 chord. Let's keep moving, and the next one is Going Through the Big D by someone called Mark Chestnut. Again, not familiar with this tune. It's got that very slick kind of 90s country sound. A bit cheesy, but I actually really like this track. I think it's going to be a fun one to play. So I'm just going to have a listen through to it. So this one's in the key of B flat, not a very country key. I think what I may well do on this one is use a capo and at the first fret, and then play it as though we're in the key of A, and then the chords and the riffs in this one fall a lot more naturally on the guitar. And this one does start with a signature kind of twangy riff, which I've got to play like the record. So it's I think that's how it goes. So then we're into the first verse, and that's all just 1-4-5 kind of stuff, I think. So 1 5 1 4. There's a 2 chord in there. 5, and then it goes round again. So a little 2 5 1. Probably just keep things simple there. Maybe just kind of chugging my way through those chords. At the chorus, it starts with a kind of long chord. It's 1 and then 5 1. There's a little bar of 2 beats in there, which you have to watch out for. That's where listening is really going to help for me. If I can know the song and know the lyrics, then I'll feel those odd bars quite naturally. And I might play a few little fills, single note things in and around the vocals on this one. I haven't got time to go into a lot of detail on that, but there are some lovely licks on the original recording. And there's one in particular that I like, which happens I think halfway through the first verse. Yeah, it happens over this 5 chord, so over the F chord, and I'm hearing something like this. You can hear how that, it's a beautiful kind of dominant lick over that F chord. So I might well steal that lick. And there is a solo on this one, kind of a violin solo, or fiddle solo, I should say, since this is country music. So that's probably something I'm going to have to play there. We're not going to have a fiddle player. This is just going to be one I will improvise something on, just sort of, I mean, it's played over the chorus chords, I think, so that should be straightforward enough. And one little tricky moment to look out for on this one is in the final chorus. There's a change in feel. It's got this tricky kind of half time thing, and then it goes back to double time. So that might be something we'll have to drill in rehearsal to make sure we really nail that. All right, let's take a look at a song called Chattahoochee by Alan Jackson. In terms of the chords, this one is pretty straightforward. It's just 1 4 5. Chorus starts on the 4 chord, which is that very common kind of thing. The potentially tricky thing about this one is the riff, which is an important part of the tune. So it's something I'm going to have to try and get down note for note. And the riff is the intro. It happens again in the middle of the tune, and again as an outro. So I think I've got the basic idea. We're in the key of C, and the riff is this. So it's that kind of C minor major kind of thing. It's using this kind of country scale. It's the how would you describe that? It's the major pentatonic with the added minor thirds. I believe that's sometimes called the major blues scale. So the riff is coming out of that. And we've got this little slide into the root. Up the major pentatonic. And then down. And it repeats. kind of bluesy thing. So the hardest thing here is the speed. It's played pretty fast, so I don't know if I'm quite at the correct speed yet, but let me try it. Great little riff. I'm going to keep working on that one just to get it really kind of locked in and in the muscle memory. Then there's actually another Alan Jackson song. It's his version of Summertime Blues, which has got another riff which I've needed to learn. I'm going to do this one in drop D. It sounds like it's either in drop D or the guitar's tuned down on the original recording, but the riff sits nicely in drop D and it goes like this. We've got... So the rhythm changes a little bit the second time through. So other than that, this one is pretty simple. I think it's just the one chord, which is D, going to G, the 4 chord. And then we've got this this riff repeated. There are a couple of solos on this. The first solo is a bit more melodic, so I'll probably just end up playing the melody here. So yeah, I'm going to play around the chords, improvise something there. The second solo is amazing, proper kind of country shredding. It sounds like it's played by Brent Mason or someone. So I'm not going to try and compete with that. I'll probably just keep things kind of nice and simple. You can get away with just playing kind of D blues or D minor pentatonic licks on this one, and it's still going to sound okay. Okay, let's take a look at Achy, Breaky Heart, shall we? And those are words I never thought I'd be saying on this channel, and I hope I'm not going to lose all of my indie rock credibility. But as long as you don't tell anybody, I think we should be okay. But in all seriousness, it's quite a fun tune, and it's cheesy, but I guarantee this will be a fun one to play with a band, and it's going to make people happy. So why not, I say. And this one's in the key of A, and it's got some great, quite high gain, almost hair metal type guitar tones on it, which is great. And good news is this is just a 2-chord song. It's just A and E, so the 1 chord and the 5 chord. For the most part, you can just do this kind of bluesy boogie riff through it. So that's most of the songs. It's almost got kind of a get it on sort of T-Rex kind of vibe to it, and I think second guitar part could be doing kind of accents. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. The introduction goes something like this. And there are a couple of solos, or not really solos, just riffs that are played at the end of some of the choruses. There's a low twangy riff, which is pretty straightforward. I think at one point that's taken up an octave. And then maybe at the the outro of the song I could play a little solo, so that would just be A major pentatonic A minor pentatonic or a mix of those two things. So there we go. Achy Breaky Heart. What can I say? It's a bit of a country banger, I think. A little bit of a guilty pleasure for me. I'm sure I'm going to have some fun playing this one. So there we go. I think I'm going to leave it there for this particular video. You've got, I hope, some kind of insight into my process, the way I work on this stuff. I've looked at 6 or 7 different tunes. I'm going to spend another couple of hours just going through the rest of the tunes. Then I think I've made pretty solid progress. It should be okay once I get into rehearsal. That's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you found it interesting, and I hope to see you next time when I'm going to be breaking down Achy Breaky Heart in full. I am, of course, joking. Or am I?